Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. This is your host, ScottyB. Friends, rarely do we see someone with a range and diverse set of characterization that we do with my next guest. Her ability to create so many characters, adapt them, and share them with us, so many fandoms, and at such an impressive rate has us in awe. It will seem as though she creates a new character every day and reminds us that cosplay is fun for everyone. And if you love the character, you can, with no bounds, be that character. One of the nicest and most positive individuals that you will see in the cosplay community today. Please welcome international cosplay sensation, Beci Bombshell, to the show.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. So wonderful to have you here, Beci. Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on and be on the show.
You're more than welcome.
I would love to start with your origins in cosplay. You've created 5,000 posts on social media to date. It's just such an amazing body of work. But how did you become the Beci Bombshell that we know today?
Well, it's quite a story, to be honest. Like, I've been cosplaying for around 5.5 years. So I started kind of after I turned 16. I school over here, didn't do best in. I wasn't in like the best state of mind, and I saw a load of like people my age kind of going out doing things that I wasn't particularly comfortable with, and I thought, what am I going to do that makes me go, okay, I've got this and it will keep me entertained. And I discovered cosplay around sort of like around Halloween time, and I kind of stuck with it since then, and now it's just got like a massive hold of me. And now here we are. Like, it's a big story, and now we go like 5.5 years later, and God knows how many cosplays later, and we're still going. We're still finding things to do.
Yes, it just it's so many posts, so many cosplays, hundreds if I'm counting.
There is over 100. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. How do you keep them all organized and up to date with so many? And how do you ever pick a favorite with so many?
God, there is no nice way of storing all that. It's not the nicest thing to look at. It is a bit of a state. Like, you'll find a way, shove them in a couple of drawers, because a lot of it is kind of like easy pieces, so they're all kind of like one big costume piece, and it leaves it quite easy to store away as long as you like fold it God knows how many times. But like, it does make it a bit difficult when you've got like the bigger stuff to work with, like a dress or armor. It's a little, you kind of have to be a bit more creative with that. I have favorites, but a lot of them I kind of like all equally. It's kind of, you go through a phase of going, okay, I really want to do that, or I really want to get into that. But then there's some you just go back to, and it just makes it a bit more easier, I think.
It is kind of a lot to wrangle, especially with so many. One that you have mentioned as your favorite is Clea from Doctor Strange. And that's a relatively new character for the MCU, but does go back to 1964 in the comic books. Do you now that we have Multiverse of Madness kind of out there, and we know that Charlize Theron is playing the part, do you think we're going to see her in sequels? Do you think she's going to be a bigger piece of the MCU?
I think she will be a bigger piece of the MCU. I feel like I obviously have no idea kind of like the timeline on what they're kind of going to go on, and how long we may wait until we see kind of like Doctor Strange kind of in a piece of the MCU next. But I do think introducing her in is quite obvious. There's going to be something there. They're kind of teasing up to something, really. And I think that was like the happiest moment of the whole movie. Like, I remember that movie early, and it was such an amazing experience. And then I waited till the end, and I was like, okay, I want one thing from this movie. If I don't get it, then it's kind of that for me, and that's all I wanted. It was 2 seconds, but I don't complain by any piece. So I'm very happy with it. And to be honest, it will make it a little bit more interesting. I think she's a character I've loved in comics kind of for years, so I've got a bit of an attachment to her as a character, really, and kind of seeing her kind of come into the fold is really nice, actually.
It's a fun dynamic, and I like that they're expanding with Doctor Strange and making that kind of more of a mainstay, kind of moving away from the Avengers and getting into more of like cosmic things. And I really liked WandaVision. I thought they did just an amazing job with that, and this being kind of a segue into that. Another kind of dark, though not necessarily MCU movie, was Morbius. And I understand that you went to the UK screening of that. Would you like to talk about being part of that event?
Yeah, sure. Like, I remember getting like an email kind of after a day at work, kind of on the sly. I would check like the emails like around 5 p.m. and I had one from a company saying, "Hi, I want to invite you to the Morbius fan screening and you get a +1 with you." And I didn't believe it at first. I kind of thought it was a joke because it didn't seem totally legitimate. But then I kind of looked it through and I was like, right, okay, it is legitimate. Let's do it. It could be like the worst movie in the world, but it's the experience that matters. And it was nice because like it was the day before I went to like a Comic-Con over here, and it was kind of like the build up all to that. And I kept it kind of, I only told like my best friend and then the person that I invited as my +1. I kind of kept it as silent as possible. And when I did it, it wasn't even like there was so many people there. It was quite like chilled, which was quite nice. So we went there around like 5:30. We showed them our tickets, so I got in the post saying, okay, you're invited. And then we were like, okay, do we have to go through this entrance where there's got like a load of fans? They had like 30 Seconds to Mars t-shirts on and stuff like that. And then there was like a smaller corner and it had the carpet on it. And I was like, okay. And they were like, yeah, you're going through here. And I was like, right, okay. You had like people from like reality shows over here and radio presenters. So being kind of around people like that felt really weird for a day because they were all dressed in like really posh clothes. I was in like a £5-10 play suit from like a really like sort of lower end like high street shop. So it felt really odd. I did feel quite out of place, but it was really nice kind of getting the opportunity to kind of see it early, get that sort of experience there, because it's kind of something I haven't done, surprisingly. Like I did an event, I did Dark Phoenix like a couple of years previous, but we saw like 3 scenes from the movie and that was it. We didn't see it all in full early. So it made it kind of more intimate. And because like none of the people I usually kind of interact with got invited, it kind of made it a bit more personal, which was nice. But I mean, that weekend though, that was all I got asked about, and I was like, okay, I can't talk about the movie. It's really difficult, but it was good. I will always remember that experience.
Oh, how much fun is that? Yeah, I guess they do it. They probably do it a little differently depending on the company that's presenting the movie and just like kind of the reception. So it's nice if you can see more of it, and then not talk about it afterwards because of course it hasn't been released yet. But such a fun experience and so great to see you being part of that event. So well deserved for all of the things that you do, being on Instagram and TikTok, so many different platforms, and then having like 1 million likes on your page for TikTok, which is just a huge accomplishment.
Oh my god, yeah.
I've heard that Twitter's getting a little bit better as a platform, but now Elon Musk is kind of taking it over. Ooh. So what are your thoughts about how social media looks and like the social media game right now?
It's really different because considering it was 2016 when I started cosplay, and I remembered like any of the likes you got, if it was over a certain amount, it would be like, oh my god. Now I look at the algorithm, considering the follower count I have, I could get like 200 likes. I'll go, okay, fine. I'm almost a bit numb to it all at this point, but I don't really care. It kind of takes away the whole thing of why I started doing it in the first place. I like it, like who doesn't want a bit of attention, but I think I try not let it like get to me, to be honest. I'm like, okay, I know some of the posts are going to do better than others. It depends what people want. If they see like me and like Ivy, for example, which could get like 500, which doesn't involve a lot of effort, I know that's going to do better than like one where it's me fully covered. I just know that. I know the internet at this point. TikTok, I know, has a bit of resurgence. Like there's a lot of people going to it at the moment. I like it and I don't like it. I'm a bit 50-50 on it. Twitter, I just actively do not use. I look on it occasionally, but I have kind of one of them accounts that, you know, people don't put a name on or anything like that. I kind of just like to see what's going on, but that's kind of about it. I don't have a lot of hope on Twitter. There's a lot of negative vibe on there, and I don't, there's enough of it at the moment. Particularly, I'm not sure on the worldly side, but definitely like in the community over here, it goes through phases where you could be completely fine, completely okay, and then other times it could blow. So I try and keep away from it as much as possible. And Facebook, I've just kind of, I have a page. It does okay, but I know Facebook's algorithm got killed long before I began. So
Facebook is a bit of a mess. Has been for a while. Yes. And yeah, Instagram's not far behind. And I guess I'm in the same boat where it's like, you know, anything that I would put up, I don't really have any high expectations, obviously, for myself. It's mostly for the people that I want to promote, that I really want them to have some visibility. So it's more me building everything up so that people on the show, you know, get additional, you know, that people know what they're doing and that they can appreciate. Large account, small account doesn't make any difference to me, but you know, all of these amazing things that creators do in the space, all of the cosplayers and all the things that they share. I mean, it's a lot of work, and I believe that it should be given a bit of a megaphone, so to speak, to really shine some light on what people do and just the amazing things and all of the time and all of the effort and energy that goes into that passion to present the characters the way that you do.
I think that's kind of why, like, my focus more, I know that like the posts sometimes they'll go through like a moment, so it's kind of why I do like shout outs to people, because I'm like, my first instinct, if I see someone who I'm like they're not, I see enough people in the community, no matter where they are in the world, who do not get enough attention and do not get enough credit, and I go kind of, you know what, let's give them a shout out, because you never know, you might find someone who cosplays the same character as you or has a similar interest to yourself that you might find on a different side of the country. That's kind of why TikTok has been kind of good, for example, because I have like people from like over my way in kind of different parts of the country, but then I have a lot of mutuals in like Australia, for example. So there's a lot of people kind of on that other side of the hemisphere as well, where that I've kind of found over the last couple of years, kind of from TikTok and that. And then there's been more kind of back from the US as well, but it kind of gives you a bit of variety as well. And it means like if you ever do go like, let's say abroad, for example, for an event, it means you can network a bit more and you can kind of get the vibe a little bit differently, because all the cosplay scenes are different. It's not the same anywhere you go. I know that from my own experience, because I've been to America for a con and it's completely different to how it is over here.
Oh, interesting. Which one did you go to?
I went to Dragon Con. I went to Atlanta's Dragon Con. So one of my best mates at the time, I'm still quite close with her. She lives kind of like an hour out of downtown Atlanta. I decided to go and fly out and stay over at hers for about a week or so, and we rented an apartment for the con and we spent like the whole weekend together, and it was like so different. I still enjoyed it. It was a bit weird because it was a couple of years ago. I couldn't drink necessarily, so I kind of was like the sober friends who kind of watched over everyone get drunk, which was kind of funny. So
Yes, Dragon
but
Con can definitely include a lot of that.
it's mad. It's mad. It's kind of like like the big UK con over here times like 1,000, really. So because our cons are kind of like social, outsidey, but then like in the evenings we'll all kind of converge in one location and just kind of interact, have fun, do whatever. And it was a bit like that times 1,000, really. I would go back in a heartbeat though. I'd like to experience it again, probably when I'm not so poor.
I understand that part. Yes, cons are very expensive, especially when you have to fly. And yeah, it's funny. Funny, we ran into because we're going to do Emerald City Comic Con later this year, and going from Florida to Washington, we found out is actually further than going from Florida to London, flight wise. It's like a 12-hour flight one way, but you can probably make 8 just to go. I'm like, maybe we should have just picked like MCM or something. It just seems like a long way for everybody to go.
I know.
But yes, it's just so fantastic to have you. I mean, yes, if you could make it to another con here, that'd be amazing. But
Honestly,
definitely we'll have to figure out a way to finance that. So everybody donate to Becky. If you're listening, make sure that we can finance her to be at one of these cons.
Go get me to America. Get me there.
You have worked on, collaborations. You've done so much. And there was one that came up, I think it was Zavi X Batman, or Zavi and the Batman, which was a launch from March. And their site, like if you see the site, it has like everything fandom. Like there's figurines and there's card games, and there's things about movies. Like it's a really fun site. It just has like a lot of different ways to connect with the fandom, like different memorabilia and things like that you can just buy at their site. Would you like to talk about how you worked with Zavi and that whole experience?
Yeah, definitely. So Zavi, I collaborated in kind of like a year ago when WandaVision came out. I remembered when the initial finale suit kind of went on to like cosplay sites and everything like that. I got one of the first suit copies, like one of the first ones they ever made. And when I bought the outfit and everything like that, tested it out, did the test online, Zavi reached out to me and they were giving away a WandaVision crown, and it had like a necklace as well. So they were going to collab with me to give that away. And we worked on that. It was great. I still have the crown with me. I'd never like wear it like shoots or that. I kind of keep it indoors because it's kind of like you keep it in the box and that's it. And then they reached out to me kind of a week before the Batman one, and they're like, okay, we're going to grab a couple of cosplayers, content creators, streamers, kind of a mixture of people from different kind of ends of the nerd spectrum, and bring them together. We're going to launch the new range. You get to see the merch yourself. We get like a goodie bag, and then we go and watch Batman Forever in like a little screening cinema, which was quite quaint, quite cute. And that was a nice experience, actually. I remember the day was a bit stressful. We had like the London tube strikes over here, so I came about an hour and a half like later than everyone else did. I was a little bit behind, so I didn't experience like the first part of it. They had like drinks and food. I didn't get to experience that. I think I had about 10 minutes, then we watched the film. But then we got to like see the merch afterwards, and I actually do have one of their merch pieces on the way. It's a denim jacket, and it has like the Batman on the back. It's got like a print on it. It's really, really nice, actually. And it was the one piece we kind of all collectively were like, oh my God, this is the piece. This is the thing we all need. And now, I mean, I am on their contacts list, so that's nice. So
yeah,
it won't be the last thing we do. Let's say that. I know I'm keeping as much contact with him. We're trying to get stuff together about the new Scarlet Witch crown for Multiverse of Madness. We're probably going to do that at some point. So it is quite exciting, really. I am looking forward to kind of working with them because they are a nice company and they're very personal as well, and the team are great, and I keep in contact with them very regularly. I've seen, like, I had one of them at the premiere, the Morbius premiere as well, and they were like, there's quite a few of us from the event who just kind of were all there, and it was nice, really, because we didn't get to see each other like often.
Sure.
We're all dotted around the country, so it was nice though. I really enjoyed that day, actually.
Just the amount of attention that is being given to cosplayers, especially ones who are as talented and hardworking as yourself,
Thanks.
that people are reaching out to you and starting to collaborate and understanding the reach and the influence that cosplayers have in these spaces. And it's really nice when they're mindful and it's like a really fun interaction, because sometimes that can go differently. It can be a little bit awkward sometimes if the company doesn't necessarily know what they're doing with influencers.
No.
But yeah, that's just so great to hear, and it's great that we will see you working with them again. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watch the space.
One thing that I do want to talk about as well is cosplay and confidence. You said that attending cons like MegaCon, for example, and others has been a confidence booster for you. Do you find that wearing the cosplays and being able to showcase them at conventions, versus online is actually a bigger boost to confidence?
Oh, I think so, for sure. Like, when I was growing up, I never kind of embraced and kind of thought I was like pretty. I had issues with body dysmorphia, and my mental health was an absolute mess. And I think cosplay has helped in that sense, that I've actually kind of grown to see and appreciate myself a bit more. Like, I will look at myself in costume in something kind of like, let's say, like Wonder Harley, for example, because that was kind of like the big one for me, working on like a concept, knowing exactly what I wanted to do with it, and having like the legs out, and it was corset, and that always scared me. And it felt very kind of impactful, kind of wearing something like that and going out in kind of on like public transport, for example, and just kind of owning it. Really, I've become a lot better with it. When I started cosplay, I probably wouldn't have done that. Now I don't get fazed by it. If someone like in the street looks at me and I'm in cosplay, I don't care. I just own it. I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna walk past here in our costumes, and we're just not gonna care like anyone's looking at us. And I think it gives you, like, I don't feel confident enough going out in like the local town sometimes, but I could go to like London in costume, fine, nothing. So it gives you a sense, like a different kind of like view on it when you're in cosplay. It's really weird to describe at the same time, but I think I'm grateful for that cosplay for that reason. Like, I always will be.
It does have like certainly an impact for all of the things that we deal with on a regular basis, to not only have the escape, but then to be able to present ourselves in a certain way and use that energy from the character, and be able to give that. And also just that we like, I often forget that not everybody cosplays. So when you go out when you go out in public, everybody kind of looks at you like,
I know.
what's going on over here? Like, well, are you like, is there like a movie shoot? What's going on? And yeah, like just the, like, especially like in public transit and things like that, or when you're getting into an Uber or a Lyft, and the driver is like, oh, so tell me, what's you look kind of like a cat, but I think I've seen you in comic books before. And it can be a little bit awkward in the conversation, because though Instagram kind of feels like everyone on earth cosplays, because that's just what they show us. I mean, that's pretty much my whole feed is just cosplayers. But that's not necessarily the way that it is in reality. It's too bad too, because I think some people might be missing out. After all, cosplay is for everybody. literally. And I know that being an advocate for that and for mental health awareness too, which you'd mentioned, just the effects that cosplay can have on just positive reinforcement for mental health. And I think, I think again, we forget that people inside of the community are often dealing with a wide range of issues, and there's all sorts of struggles going on in personal lives and relationships and things that don't always come to the surface when we post the really nice pictures of us in these cosplays. What could you tell us about cosplay and mental health from your own experience?
Yeah, so I mean, like I kind of mentioned earlier, because I found cosplay in such a weird time in my life. I kind of suffered from depression. I fell out with like my best friend at the time. It was a very like deep situation. It was something quite serious. And I kind of, whenever I went out, like normally with friends or anything like that, I would not feel confident kind of in what I was doing. And I kind of feel like locally where I live is not the best of areas. If you're not of a certain type of person, you are basically a target for anything, no matter if you are good, bad, work, don't work, it doesn't matter. They will literally target you. Like but I cosplay, I found a lot of the people I'm close with now, and I told them, okay, I struggle with mental health, or I've got autism. So like telling someone like you're like hidden disabled, people don't always understand it. There's a lot of stigma. And I'm from a very kind of upper class family, which doesn't always help. They don't always understand anything they're not familiar with. But I would tell like my friends, like my cosplay friends about it, and they kind of would not view me any different. And that was something I was always far too familiar with. Like it was never good enough for anyone else. But I tell like these cosplayers it that I've trusted and known for years, and they don't view me any differently. They just go, oh yeah, it's Becky. That's Becky. She's cool and you like her, and she'll give you a hug or whatever, and she'll make you feel welcome. I wouldn't get that outside of cosplay. I don't always. Like it's not the easiest thing really. It's something I'm trying to like tell constantly about as well, which isn't always, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other for some people. TikTok, I was on like a side of TikTok where they would kind of silence a lot of views and opinions from certain communities, and that did not sit right with me. And I just can't be bothered to kind of go through that anymore. So kind of cosplaying and all these nerdy things made me kind of go, you know what, it's, you are the way you are, don't be ashamed of it, because I always was when I was growing up. It was always a thing I kind of could never let go from myself. But now I'm like, I mean, I'm 22. I started cosplaying when I was 16. Like, it's character development in itself. I've kind of known all the different corners from it. And it means like people can sometimes come to me and go, okay, what do you think of this? How can I have your advice on how to adapt with mental health or anything like that, or anything they're insecure on? And I'll have people who are kind of like, one of my best mates is 27, for example, and she messaged me like the other day and was like, I don't feel very confident. Can you give me some advice on that? And I was quite happy to just kind of call her, sit with her, and kind of help her out on what she needed to do, kind of particularly before, because we got MCM in 2 weeks. Like, and I'm not ready. So like, I'm not ready. I don't think anyone is, no one ever is. And there's all these different things that people kind of just get anxious about. And I'm like, you know what, let's just push it aside. We're going to have fun. We'll get what we need to do done. And if we don't, it's fine. We'll just have a good time. That's all you need to do.
Well, and I think that's really that's the right attitude to have, for sure. I mean, if things don't go perfectly at con, I think we really hold ourselves to a very high standard and that's also not good for your mental health. When
No.
you're pushing all of this on yourself and causing all this stress and anxiety, and it's supposed to be a fun time that you enjoy with your friends and sharing all of these things that you've worked on
Yeah.
and everything that you love about those characters that you have created and want to kind of bring together with your friends. Yeah, it's a lot. And yeah, well, I mean, good luck at MCM. I'm sure it'll look fantastic. It always
I'm
does.
fairly confident. It's like I've only got like one bit left to finish and then I'm done. So I'm not panicked as much as most people are. It's just the weather. I know MCM usually around like May time is a bit like weather out in like Florida or like Spain or somewhere like really high heat where it's quite humid, and we'll be out, like most of it is kind of like outside as well. I mean, I'm going to be hitting heels all weekend. I'm not going to be able to walk upstairs. I've one of the cosplays I can't actually get into myself, so I'm going to have people put me in the costume, which is going to be an experience I've not had to do in years because it's a bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm excited for it. It's going to test me a little bit, but I need a challenge every now and again with the costumes. I need it.
And we also just appreciate that you put so much into everything that you're doing and that you do get out of your comfort zone and share these things with us. I think it's it reinforces, if some of us are on the fence and we can see that example, we can go, oh, well, you know, Becky's super nice and she's doing it. She's encouraging us to do it. So why don't we give it a try? Like,
Yeah,
I think that's always really great. The camaraderie and just the very professional and just friendly way that you have everything on your page, and just how nice you are with people that come and say hello to you. So certainly just my thanks for everything that you do for the community, for all of your effort, for the years that you've spent putting everything into this. It's quite an investment, and it's quite amazing. All of it just fantastic.
Thank you.
So much coming out, so much to look forward to. Where can we find you, and how can we support you online?
Okay, you can always support me by following either I prefer my Instagram, but if you want to follow my TikTok, you can as well. It ain't really cosplay, but you can follow it anyway. So it's Beci_Bombshell cosplay on Instagram, and I'm Beci Bombshell on TikTok. I do have a Facebook page, which is just Beci Bombshell cosplay. So that's where you can support me.
And there you go. We'll have the links in the show notes, folks, so that you can click and follow very easily. And you will certainly want to, because it's just fantastic. Everything Becky does is just so amazing. And again, thank you so much for taking the time coming on and being able to just share all these wonderful things about what you do. Friends, thank you for being here today and watching and listening. This is ScottyB with the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary and Beci Bombshell saying bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.